life, there's no playbook or cheat code. In fact, everyone has a different idea of what a successful life looks like. Some people measure fulfillment by the number of experiences they have, while others, like Mason Farmani, are dead set on career success. However, once he achieved this success, the rest of his life wasn't falling into order like he thought it would.
What was happening was that I was really thriving and really successful and at the top of my game, but I was starting more and more to feel anxious and a little out of control.
To try and get a grasp on his anxiety, he started working with a therapist. He was able to manage these feelings, but could never completely overcome them. In his journey to find healing, Farmani spoke with a psychiatrist who took a different approach to his anxiety. Instead of looking at the outside factors, Farmani was encouraged to dig deeper within himself.
We started talking about purpose, what it is that I really, really needed to do and wanted to do in my life. And so I really realized that in my role as a CEO and managing partner of all these firms that I had created, I was fulfilling only a part of me, but not all of me. And I had always coached my employees and my executives. And so I was like, what, that's when I lose myself in time. That when I start to coach people, that's when I am in the zone and I don't really realize how time flies and how time goes by. Sometimes I was being late to my next meeting because I was just enjoying doing that coaching with the employees so much.
It didn't take long for him to realize his true calling. Coaching was where he could put his education and expertise to use while also helping those around him.
That's when my anxiety started to just disappear. When I got connected to my why, when I got connected to the reason why I'm really here, that's when I started living my purpose.
One note, it's important to realize that this shift didn't come from Farmani's career change. Becoming a life coach wasn't the secret ingredient, but rather the product of figuring out who he is at his core. As a life coach, Farmani first works with his clients to find their identity. And though questions like, where are you from and what do you do are often the first to be asked, those aren't going to get to the root of who you are.
It's not very often that we stop and take an inventory of who we really are and who we are not and who we really want to be, right? Some of what you want to be, it's going to get carried over to who you really want to live your life as moving forward. But there's a bunch of stuff that gets created. So once you get that, then we go from that point and we create your life through this lens of who you want to be. And you look at it in every decision you make.
So if you want to be kind and courageous, you use that as a guide for how you respond to every situation. Notice that understanding who you are and who you want to be doesn't have anything to do with what career you'll have or when you'll get married. Farmani says that when going through this exercise, it's important to think in terms of core attributes instead of the roles you may have. Those roles will change, but the core of who you are will dictate how you carry yourself through the rest of your life.
As relationships go broken up, and you may be a wife today, but you may be, mother tomorrow, and then you may lose all of it one day. Well, what's you're left with is yourself, not your role.
Once you have this starting foundation of who you are and what your obstacles are, you're able to place this lens over your entire life.
So if we can create a life that lives out of that intention, then you've got to make every decision that you make through that lens. Your career, your relationships, your community, which is a part of the relationship, yourself, right? Self-care and who you are, which is a piece of it. And if you live a balance in all of those different parts, then your satisfaction and your love for life doesn't only come from one section.
Which means that if a relationship falls apart or there's a bump in your career, you still have other areas of your life to lean on and feel fulfilled by. If you're thinking that life coaching sounds a lot like therapy, you're not completely wrong. Both aim to help individuals better their lives. But while therapy focuses on mental and emotional healing, life coaching tends to be more external. Another main distinction is the provider. Therapists undergo years of schooling and a certification, while an effective life coach relies on their personal experience in their chosen field.
The difference is in coaching that you have the knowledge, right? Like, for example, I do corporate coaching, but I have 40 years of running companies. So when I do corporate coaching, I also reach into my experience to coach.
However, no one's experience is going to be perfect. All of us have experienced failure, which begs the question, does a life coach have to have their own life together in order to be effective? Farmani says, it depends.
I think that a good coach also reaches out to their failures in their life to help clients, right? So it depends on what area you're coaching. Like I have had people that are great corporate coaches, but they're terrible at relationship coaching.
Which is similar to therapy in the sense that there are different areas that therapists specialize in to help specific problems. But unlike professional therapy, life coaches are able to bring their own experience to the table. While this flexibility can be extremely helpful, Farmani says that the field's lack of accreditation has made it more difficult for people to find a credible coach.
Currently, there's no licensing, there's no certification requirement, right? And I think at some point it's going to change because there's so many people that are coming into the field claiming that they are coaches, and they're going in, maybe they're going through a 3-month certification. And even there's people that are teaching them, I'm not sure that they're qualified to teach.
Since anyone can claim the title, Farmani says it's so important to set up a quick 15-minute interview to make sure the coach you're choosing is the right fit for your specific needs.
So during that 15 minutes, you got to be in charge, right? You got to be like really standing up for yourself and presenting yourself in such a way that all of you is asking the right questions so that you know whether this is the right fit. You want to come from the areas that you need help with, and then you want to ask them, how would you help me in this area, right? And also, can you tell me a little bit about somebody that was in this situation before, one of your old clients, one of your previous clients, that you were able to help, and how did you help them, and what was the outcome?
Focusing on the outcome of previous clients in similar situations will help you realize which coach will be best for you. You can find more information about life coaches and our guest, Mason Farmani, by heading to viewpointsradio.org. For more behind the scenes and to support our program, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. This segment originally aired on our sister show, Radio Health Journal, back in September 2024, and was written by our lead producer, Kristen Farah. Our executive producer is Amira Zaveri. Our studio manager is Jason Dickey. I'm Marty Peterson.